Brett claims a great amount of liberal pushback to critical race theory. He then names 9 liberal public intellectuals out of 3,000. I can think of 30 total in the real world, and I am a socialist. Is this in-group bias clouding?
I don't get, I know what the question means, but
Right.
I don't get it. It feels to me like, another version of, mostly peaceful protest, right? So if you have 9, and it's not like the list stopped at 9. 9 was the ones that I found that had a direct connection to the Wall Street Journal opinion page.
Well, I guess to steelman both this question and actually that Wall Street Journal article by, was Jason Riley? Is that who we decided wrote it? The public intellectuals, I think, are far quieter and therefore basically misrepresent what the rest of the people on, among the liberals who aren't given voice because they don't have pieces in, on op-eds pages of papers are actually thinking. So, you and me being certain that there is a tremendous number of people, that it is the silent majority of people on the left who actually are looking askance at this and, maybe going along because it doesn't feel that dangerous, or actually beginning to get really antsy about it, that it's a really large number of people is not the same thing as arguing that it is a large number of public voices on the left. And it's not a large number of public voices on the left, and it's certainly not a large enough number of public voices on the left who are criticizing this. On the other hand, so what we did say when we were talking about this last hour was, in part, when you do start talking about it, you get told you're not on the left, and you get told to shut up, and you lose your platform, and you all of these things that people say about cancel culture and such are true, and so that it is exactly pushing people into silence when they might not otherwise be silent.
Yeah. So I want to be a little bit careful. I don't think that it's a majority that are just keeping their mouth shut. I think people start out knowing better, and then they take a step on the slippery slope, and then they convince themselves of this woke nonsense out of an instinct to self-preservation.
I don't know what those numbers look like. I hope it's still a majority.
But I want to be really sure that the pushback here is clean, because there was something very bizarre about that opinion piece. Okay. It literally said, you and I found the same quote, and we didn't talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Where are the liberal voices pushing back? We find conservatives pushing back. Where are the liberals? Right. This was written by somebody in the Wall Street Journal, where somebody at the Wall Street Journal editorial page could have said, well, there are some. In fact, here are several articles that we've published
on our page, exactly the same page that you're publishing this. So that was your group. That was your list of 9. Was
right.
Just
and it
off
wasn't
the top
that
of your
they
head.
weren't all published there, but they were all published or mentioned, or clearly the page would be aware of them. So I would have expected, if the author had been just somehow unaware, then I would have expected the page in the editorial process to say, actually, it's not that bleak. Right? Which would have then resulted in a change in that sentence, which didn't happen somehow. But even weirder, Jason Riley, the author, follows all of us. I believe it was every single person I mentioned is in his list of people that he follows on Twitter, and not newly so. It's not like he just became aware of us, right? This goes back what must be years following us. So how can somebody who is aware of all of us and knows full well, that we keep saying we're liberals, this doesn't track for us, how could such a person write that sentence, and then how could the page sign off on it? It's just...
Well, it might, maybe we're reading it wrong. Maybe the intention is to push people to speak up and say, no, here we are, for God's sake, we understand that this is a problem. There are a lot of ways to get people to act that are legitimate but not straightforward.
Yeah, but this is a newspaper, and it's the Wall Street Journal, and it's the Wall Street Journal, which was far-sighted enough to actually let us write for them and not to, sanitize what we wrote so it looked like it came from conservatives. So Anyway, something odd happened. I don't think we're ever going to know what it is, but something odd happened, and it shouldn't have happened, because at the very least, if you're going to make the claim there aren't enough liberals standing up against this, which is a fine claim, then the answer is there are some. But why aren't there more like these folks? And then it raises a question. Well, what has your experience been?
Yeah.
Experiences, I keep getting portrayed as a conservative, right?
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yep.
anyway, something else should have happened.